So it looks like I'm live. How we doing tonight, folks? Thrash Bondo here, and I'll be doing my part two of my 2023 wrap up celebration this evening. That is to say, I will be doing it as soon as somebody shows up to start rapping with me. Hopefully, we'll actually get around to talking about 2023 at this point. We actually Oh, somebody's laughing at me. Guess who? It's Mrs. Thrash, who said she wasn't feeling well a minute ago. Apparently, my tomfoolery got her removed. Oh, speak of the devil, Tug, who's here. Hi, Tug. Tug says maybe we'll get around to actually talking about 2023 today. Hope springs eternal. Dan, the breaking news man, is here, and he says hi, and a hi to you, a hi de ho. Gary Carver says season's greetings, everyone, with a high five and a high five to you. And Emily Miller is here and says, woohoo, I'm early. You certainly are, but always right on time to me. Oh, Tug is saying hi to Mrs. Thrash. Gary Carpenter's talking in emojis, as always. People are starting with the fellowship amongst each other. Feel free to greet away, greet away, greet away. Dan says, can we chat about Norman Lear tonight? It's funny you mentioned that. It's fun. Do you remember when I promised Tug that we would do Godzilla trivia, and I have Godzilla trivia prepared. I have also prepared more Norman Lear trivia. So I'm gonna let you guys decide which one we go with. I think I know where people are leaning, but anyway, I will let you guys decide. We can even do both. We'll do one this week. Whichever one we don't do this week, we'll do next week. Zuperplex says, happy holidays to all, and a happy holidays to you, Plex of the Zuper. Oh, everybody, it's Lance's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lance, old buddy, cat, old dog, you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lance. And hello to you, too. Let's just see. Oh, yeah, a lot of people already knew it was Lance's birthday, and they're saying happy birthday. Oh, and Lance just saw Godzilla minus one. I've heard nothing but good things. People are telling me that I have to see it, but I have not as yet. Oh, and Gary wants to know how it was. Keith is here. He says, happy birthday, Lance, indeed. As does Emily Miller. And Doug says, remember to tip your waiters or waitresses, or we prefer the term server. We're paid to serve, not to wait. And let's just see. Oh, Lynn says it was a good movie. Good, good. And then also thanks, gang, for all the happy birthday wishes. Okay, we got 9 people in house, and I got one like. One. We can do better than that, kiddies. Come on, come on. I want at least 8 more likes in the next 30 seconds. Oh, we're up to 3. That's an improvement. Daryl is here. He says, Bob. Other brother Daryl, how are you doing, my man? And Gary Carpenter says to Linz, next one will be out sometime next year about this time. Will it be Godzilla squared? Because you know when you square a negative, you get a positive. Oh, Danny's here. He says, greetings from South Carolina, and a greetings to you too. Oh, and Dan says, I'm number 2. That's a matter of personal hygiene. See what I did there? Okay, everybody think positively. I'm getting these really annoying pop-up messages which I didn't ask for. Good. I made them go away without crashing the system. Oh, a lot of people are liking. That's good. That's good. Lance is asking Tug how the stream went. I thought it went very, very, very well. Thank you very much for asking. And Tug saying hi to Danny and telling everybody it's nice to see them again. Emily says, I usually jump right into the chat and hit the like, and we appreciate that. Oh, good. Danny's giving us links. Excellent, excellent. And Daryl asked Lance how his birthday was. Dan says, I meant like number 2 as in the second like. I knew what you meant. I was just being a number 2. Oh, look, my Fluck is everyone. My Fluck is everyone. My Fluck is everywhere is here. Hi, Sister Sarah. So great to see you. Dan, please give a link to Sister Sarah. She's been putting out some really, really funny stuff. Oh, it says, "Hi, brother Paul. It's great to see you." And she's been putting out some really funny stuff on her channel. I'll give a link to Tug too, by the way, although I'm sure everyone already has this. And yeah, Gary Carver says, "Rest in peace, Ryan O'Neal." Yes, rest in peace, definitely. That being said, I was doing some research because I thought we might talk about him today. And wow. I mean, I knew a few things about him firsthand, but the guy was kind of a mumser. I mean, mum's the word, but anyway, yes, definitely rest in peace because I want to speak ill of the dead. The living, they're okay. And let's just see what else we got going on here. Oh, and she says thanks. Sarah says thank you. You're quite welcome. Thanks for the great content. Denny says she knows how to drop uh gamer link. I'm pretty sure. Quite possibly, quite possibly. Oh, that's right. She's also a mod. She's part of our mod squad. Zublik says he was a boxer. Yes, yes. In fact, he played a boxer in the main event with Barbara Streisand. I did like his movies with Barbara Streisand. I thought they were good. Lynn says I'm drinking a vanilla Dr Pepper. Yummy. I've had those. They're pretty good actually. And Tug says, "What a tease." And oh, Form is Content is here, or Form is Content. Hi, Thrash and chat. Hope everyone had a great weekend. I certainly did. I hope everyone did as well. Dan says, I let Ren O'Neill in Paper Moon with Tatum. Yes, I do. I remember that as well. There was wasn't there a short-lived TV show about Paper Moon as well? I believe there was. I believe there was. Keith E says, "Hello, all. Sorry, I've not been paying attention to the." It says check. I think it means chat. Sorry if I missed any one. No worries, Keith. We're all just kind of like saying hello, but thank you for checking back in. Forbes Consensus. I love Paper Moon as well as Nickelodeon. That movie doesn't show up much anymore. I know, right? I know. You're so right. You're so right. Oh, Mr. Ben and his monsters is here. Mr. Ben and Monsters says thumbs up. Mr. Ben, or should I call you just M? So great to see you. Glad you could make it. Tracy here says, "Hi, Robert. I just watched a tribute on Norman Lear on Me TV. Oh, that sounds great." And Zublik says, there was, and it starred Jodie Foster. Yes, okay. Thank you very much. And Tug says, I'm annoyed that it's hard to find cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper, especially diet. Only way I can get it is with one of those magical newfangled soda machines. Didn't wasn't there a chocolate Dr. Pepper or something? And that kid who did Chocolate Rain did a jingle for it. Chocolate Rain, bum 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 ba dum, Chocolate Rain. Um, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Um, John, the adventurers here says Thrash brother, good. Nick. John, so glad you're here too. I love the stuff you're putting out, by the way. You've been doing some great stuff as well. On your channel. Sorry I haven't come over your live chats, but thank you. Indy Spout says the TV Paper Moon star Jodie Foster. Thank you. Yes, I remember vaguely. I think I was like 7 when it came out. And as it says, starred, not started. Thank you. If you start me up, if you start, Gary Carpenter says, rest in peace, Norman Lear. Definitely. Dan says, I think that was Paper Chase TV drama. I remember Paper Chase about the law students. But that was contemporary. And let's just see. Tracy says, "Hey, to all I've missed." I think you're pretty well caught up, but thank you very much, Tracy. Zublik says, "Ironically, Jodie Foster became a bigger star than Tatum O'Neal." I know, right? I know, right? And Tracy is saying many happy birthdays to Lance. My flock has given us a link. Thank you very much. John says, glad to see you. Can we give a link to John too, by the way? Either Sarah or Dan. And Dan says, okay, never mind. Wrong show. Oh no, it was a good show. It was a good show as well. Was it that guy Houseman who did the commercials. We make money the old-fashioned way. We earn it. He played the head of the Harvard Law at the time, I believe, on the show and in the movie. And just a lot of people having. Oh, thank you, Dan, for the link. Everyone's chatting with amongst themselves, saying hello and greeting, and that's always very nice. Well, we've made an improvement. There's now 18 people in the chat and 11 likes. I think we can do better than that, my people. Oh, Tim is here, says, hey, Thrash, how do you feel about the passing of Norman Lear and Ryan O'Neal? I'm actually sad about both. Well, Norman Lear, as you know, was the father of modern television, in my opinion. There was TV before him and certainly after him, but I think he was the game changer. And Ryan O'Neal, controversial character though he was, it's still sad to see him go. And thank you for asking on both score. Indy says John Houseman was in the Mercury Theater with Orson Welles. Thank you. That is such a fun fact. He's also in one of my favorite horror movies, which I believe we've talked about, Ghost Story. But yes, thank you, thank you. Oh, he of course was also in the better version of Rollerball. And Zuberlik says, so the plumbers are now gone. Where have all the plumbers gone? Maybe they got flushed. I don't know. I actually once conceptualized a concept for a histodrama set in the Old West featuring the stories of pioneer plumbers. It was called Little Outhouse on the Prairie. Now let's see what I'll. Lance is saying hit that like button. I couldn't agree with you more. Oh, Justin's here. Justin's here. Thank you, Justin. How you doing? And it says Norman Lear was great, but sometimes his shows were a little too topical. I can see what you might mean by that. My flock was also asking everyone to hit the like button and to share and to comment and all that goody good stuff. And Tracy says, hey to all, and has given us, yes, of course, Happy Hanukkah. Where are my manners? Happy Hanukkah. Bubble up. And Emily says, Justin, that's what made his shows memorable. And Lynn says, my birthday wish is for Tract to find Tracy to find a job that she likes. That's a very nice wish. Thank you. That's a very nice wish. Zubilik says nobody left with wrenches. Oh, but I'm bumped. No, we still have Linz, Dan, and Sarah. And my flock shared this show up. By the way, thank you very much. Thank you, appreciate it. Formus Content says, Thrash, you joke, but I want to watch that Wild West Plumber show. Thank you. Thank you. Speaking of Norman Lear, I freely adapted that joke from an old Sanford and Son bit. And Zuplik says Norman Lear shows were groundbreaking. They certainly were. Oh, John's here. John says, just glad to see, just glad to be here. Norman knew how to tell a story. He certainly did. And John, welcome to the party, as is always. Oh, and Lance likes good times. And Gary Cameron says he knows how to throw it out there. He certainly does. Oh, and there's that. You're welcome. Justin says, I think he faced backlash sometimes because of the argument that you can't solve the world problem in 24 minutes. You can't solve the world's problems in 24 years. Tug and I I was prancing around it because we didn't want to get into politics. But if any of you and I'm not going to point fingers at anything, I'm just going to say pretty much across the board, if you haven't think things have gotten, shall we say, a bit backsliding from the way they were when we were younger, and if this depresses you as well, commiserations. I think I'm sorry. I think some of the directions this world is heading back into depresses me utterly. But this is a happy show, so I'm going to keep it happy. Teb says Norman Lear's sitcoms, though aired mostly in the 70s, sort of bridge the gap between the tail end of the boomer era and the beginning of Gen X TV. Certainly, he was influential in shaping both. John says Norman Lear. Oh, Norman knew how I meant. I guess your show will be flushed with ideas. Indy Spouts is here. Hey, Indy. Indy Spouts is here and says, I assume the villain of your show would be shitting bull or sitting bullshit. Either way, I hadn't given it much thought. But love it. Gary Carpenter says Godzilla X Kong will be out next year during the Christmas season. Excellent. And Zubik says first time they dealt with racism in a comedic presentation and the question of rape. Yes, by the way, that was both very controversial subjects, and I was very proud of the way he handled both of them. And oh, Emily says she agreed. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate that. Tracy says, Robert, I look at the way every day. I look at it this way every day. I open my eyes, and there's a day, and I'm looking to be in it. I couldn't agree with you more, Miss. Thank you. That was very kind of you. Let's just see. Justin says, I agree, Thrash, but can you stipulate that both sides of the political spectrum have made that argument as far as things are regressing? Hence my commitment to not take sides. I see it almost as a that old schoolyard game of tit for tat where both sides just keep trying to up the ante to get at the other one. And if our country was a big sandbox, that might be cute. In an actual industrialized civilization, it's sad when the powers to be act like children. But as Tom Baker said, what's the point in growing up if you can't act like a child every now and then? So who am I to judge? Azubik says his brand of comedy taken from the British became the format that comedies in the 70s. It certainly did. Oh, Dan the Break News Man just said breaking news. The views of Thrash are not necessarily those of the YouTube channel owner. But wait, that's him. Thank you. And the views expressed by Thrash are not necessarily those of Thrash. Who am I kidding? I'm an open book. And let's just see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. And he says, "Hey there, Tugster." I'm gonna just a lot of people saying hello to one another. Oh, Big Guys 45 is here. Both political parties have truly gone off the rails. LOL. Teb says, "Sorry, I won't be here." Oh, for long because I'm off for dinner. Okay, enjoy your dinner, Teb. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's always great to have you. Thank you. Oh, and Danny's giving us a link for Big Guys. We're saying Bon Appetit. Forum says bring back the fairness doctrine in my opinion. I'll buy that. Big Guy says, by the way, feel free to follow me on TikTok if you like to music trivia daily. Yes, with an explanation point at the end. I gotta tell you, I love the 45s that you've been posting here on YouTube, by the way. I don't do TikTok, but I love what you're doing still here on YouTube. Dan says, what type of book are you? An open one. Keithy says, is it true Godzilla never eats a human being? Yes, at least in the traditional franchise. He kills a bunch, but he never actually eats one. There are monsters that do, but it's rare. I know the sea gargantuan, where the gargantuas does, and there are other examples. That's the only one that pops up at the top of my head. But be careful. Oh, by the way, guys, do you guys want to do Norman Lear trivia tonight or Godzilla? I promise I'll do the other one next week. John says, "What must keep the torch alive? We must keep the torch alive. Remember the three most uncommon things No, the most common things, common sense, common decency, and common courtesy. We, the elders, need to set the standard. Very well said. Very well said. Emily says, John, I can do the first two with no problem. Oh, Mr. Wilkinson's here. He says, good evening, Bob. And Gary Carpenter says, they were talking about that on Facebook about Godzilla being asexual. Only Zilla's is that way. You're right. In fact, Minya is actually his adopted son. Minya is not his. Ooh, careful, careful, careful. We're getting into some dangers, but yes, you are correct. I saw King Kong eat some natives. Yes, yes, in the undeleted. I actually saw that in the theaters on the day Massachusetts shut the theaters down during the whole COVID clampdown. It was a Fathom event, and it was in Kingston, which is just over the bridge from where I live. And we were actually talking because they were talking. You think Massachusetts is going to shut down? You think they're going to shut down? You think this COVID thing is serious? And we get to Kingston thinking that they might have already shut the movie down. Halfway through the movie, Massachusetts announced the shutdown. So there was no later screenings, but they grandfathered the movie theater in. If you were already watching the movie because the damage is done, that they would continue until the movie was over. But we were told afterwards just go home. I stopped on the way home for some supplies, particularly toilet paper. Yeah, no dice. We didn't actually run out. We never actually ran out during the pandemic, but there was a photo finish, let me tell you. But yes, I saw that unextended cut of King Kong on the big screen. And yes, he actually eats natives. He also, while he's on the Empire State Building, he when he finds 3 or 4 women in evening gowns who aren't Fei Wei, he just sort of goes and throws them off the building to their death. The unedited King Kong is actually pretty, yeah. Emily says, I don't usually eat the ones I kill either. Oh, you're such a man killer, Emily. Oh, Lance Chafin votes for Godzilla trivia. That's one vote. Uh, John says, right on. I don't know if that's right on, meaning he wants Norman Lear trivia or just he's good with whatever we got. A lot of people saying hello to one another. Emily Miller votes for Norman Lear trivia. Gonna skip down. Oh, John says, Sarah, you saw a Wild Tread review on Godzilla. What I haven't seen that. And Foreman's Content is here and says, what about Godzuki? I believe Godzuki was a nephew. um, if you consider the cartoon canon. And Mr. Wilkinson saying hello to everyone, including Tug. Justin says, Norman Lit Trivia. What episode is someone outspoken? Tug says, good evening, Kenneth. Just gonna skip down here. Oh, answer T234. Oh, oh, I'm sorry, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I get it. Now I get it. And let's just see here. Lance says something, but he jumped. It's my B day. We're doing Godzilla trivia. You know what, guys? That's a good point. Let's do the Godzilla trivia because it is his birthday. So let's honor Lance's request. We'll do Norman Lear next week. Tug says "No, photo finish on a photo I want to see. You know the half of it. Keithy also says Godzilla trivia. Dan says Norman Lear trivia. Yeah, yes. In the spirit of Lance's birthday, we're gonna do Godzilla this week, but I promise we'll do the Norman Lear next week. I might even think of some better questions. And Zublik says that was like those people sitting through the war is hell picture only to have the police interrupt the screening because Lee Harvey Walls. Yes. Oh my God, I just saw something on that. Yes, that was terrible. And let's just see here. Tug says, "Do I have to say I vote for both?" Actually, you know what? Maybe we should do both. We should do both. And Keithy says Godzilla worried about his invitation to the wedding. It was Godzilla minus one. So I'm sorry, that's actually really funny. Oh, so instead of bringing a date, you actually have to make someone leave? I don't know. Godzilla minus one. Oh, Pod Blast is here. He says, "Hello, everyone. Happy holidays. Hey to you too, Pod Blast." Emily Miller says, "What I know about Godzilla could be written on the back of a postage stamp. Yeah, in block letters. No worries. I made them so that they're guessable." Oh, good. When we're giving uh uh links to Podblast. Excellent. Doug says, "Sorry, I couldn't stick around for the next generation trivia Pod Blast. Pod Blast, I'm sorry. I gotta try harder to make it to some of your live shows. I just either work or I got stuff going on, and I'm terribly sorry. I will try to make it to the next one. I promise. I promise. Oh, and Dan says, Emily, if you wrote on the back of a postage stamp, it wouldn't stick. Oh, hey, Bobby Renee is here. Bobby, what's going on? I haven't seen you forever. Hi, host with the most. Hi to you too. Where you been? We haven't seen you like weeks. But thank you so much for joining us. And you're just in time because you know what? I'm going to start the Godzilla trivia. And as always, in no particular order. But before I start, Pablo's just said something here and says live this Thursday at 7 p.m. is Superman, the movie trivia and deleted scenes from the 45th anniversary of the film. I'll be at work. Sorry. Maybe if your shows usually run late, maybe I'll get home in time to come in towards the end. And Indy Spout says, "Ah, let the pain begin." And Bobby says, "Hi, Maud," and hello to B. Arthur as well. Oh, and Pablo says, "Cool to me." Oh, thank you very much. And Tug says, I'm actually working on a Superman video at the request of my patrons. Excellent, excellent. But anyway, Godzilla trivia number 10. Which one of these selections is not one of the names associated with the three headed dragon of the Godzilla franchise? A. King Ghidorah. B. Monster Zero. C. Monster X. Or D. The Astro Monster. I shall repeat. Which of these selections is not a name associated with the three headed dragon of the Godzilla franchise? A. King Ghidorah. B. Monster Zero. C. Monster X. Or D. The Astro Monster. Oh, and before I get too far off the rails, um, uh, I'm using the English speaking American versions of the films. It occurred to me while I in most cases prefer the Japanese, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. The ones we grew up with would have been the ones in colloquial American English. And oh dear. I'm gonna have to get a ruling on this one. I actually D, wasn't the American title of King Ghidorah the Astro Monster? Holy cow. I thought it was C. I thought it was C because the monster came from Planet X, but on Planet X, they called it Monster Zero. So, Tug, I'm gonna have to need you to as like a tiebreaker, uh, or at least to iron out. I might have to throw this question out, but Tug, is it not true that the Astro Monster is what the title of uh the Godzilla versus Ghidorah was? Oh, Tug says Invasion of the Astro Monster. Yes. Okay, in that case, I'm going to go with C because again, it came from Planet X, but was known on Planet X as Monster Zero, which as I described. But I'll tell you what, there's some ambiguity in that one. For those of you who picked D instead of C, I will leave up to your own conscience. If you want to give yourself credit, go ahead. If you want to give yourself half credit, I've done that before too. So, but anyway, the official answer is going to be uh, C, Monster X. Moving on to number 9. Oh, I actually just learned this one myself. Actually, I was doing my research, and it was too cool not to make a trivia question of. Initially, Ebirah was supposed to fight what kaiju? Was it A. Mandra, B. King Kong, C. Rodan, or D. A giant octopus? I shall repeat. Initially, Ebirah was supposed to fight. That's the sea monster, which looks like a big crayfish. Was supposed to fight what? A. Mandra, and I believe I'm mispronouncing it. I don't think there's an R there. I think it's Manda. I'm sorry, I always put an R there for some reason. Manda, B. King Kong, C. Rodan, or D. A giant octopus. Oh, E. Donald Trump. Oh my God! People are actually giving the right answer. Oh, I'll repeat the question because Emily didn't seem to understand it. All right, I'm not going to say Ever. I'm going to say the giant sea monster. In Godzilla versus the Sea Monster, originally it wasn't supposed to be Godzilla who fought the sea monster. Initially, the sea monster was supposed to fight what big monster? Was it A. Manda, which is like a big sea snake, B. King Kong, C. Rodan, or D. A giant octopus? And I despise Dr. Pepper, Gary. All right, yes, a lot of people got this one. This one was, like I said, I only learned this one when I was actually doing my research. Originally, it was going to be King Kong, and for some reason, the Americans didn't want King Kong. The American Universal, whatever one had the rights for it, didn't think it sounded good. So they went with Godzilla instead. Um, they did, however, have him fight a sea monster in what was that? King Kong Escapes with Doctor Who, not the Doctor Who, the sort of Bond villain type Doctor Who. But anyway, B was the correct answer there. Number 8 for you Star Trek fans out there. George Takei did voice work on which installment of the Godzilla franchise? Was it A, Valley of the Dragons, B, Godzilla Raids Again, C, Actragon, or D, Godzilla versus Mothra? A dialect. I shall repeat. Number 8, George Takei did voice work on which installment of the franchise? A, Valley of the Dragon, B, Godzilla Raids Again, C, Atragon, or D, Godzilla versus Mothra? Keithy says, "Oh my." Tug says he also did some work on Rodan. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Um, so did the guy who did the voice of Zoltar in Battle of the Planets, which is the American version of Gatchaman. And some people are getting it. A lot of people, the answers are again kind of over the map. But yes, it's Godzilla Raids Again. In fact, he coined a term in that one, banana oil, because there was some Japanese word that had like 8 syllables and it looked like it started with B, and they couldn't find anything. They tried putting 2 words together, nothing. And finally, out of frustration, George Guy goes, "Oh, banana oil." And they go, "That works. That fits." But yes, it was Godzilla Raids Again of the selection presented. Number 7. Oh, which dinosaur was supposedly not an inspiration for Godzilla? A, the T Rex, B, a Stegosaurus, C. Iguanodon, or D. Ankylosaurus? And I shall repeat. Which dinosaur was not an inspiration for Godzilla? Was it A, the T Rex, B, the Stegosaurus, C, an Iguanodon, or D, the Ankylosaurus? I see people saying B. With those big spikes on its back. A lot of people are saying B in this case. Tug, I think you're right. I think just to level the field, I think we are going to have to do both trivia, the Norman Lear and the Godzilla. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, a lot of people are picking B, but no, Stegosaurus is one of them. It was actually D, the Ankylosaur. The Ankylosaur was actually an inspiration for Anguillus. And Lance is saying, bye, gang. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Appreciate it a lot. Lance, take care of yourself. Have a great birthday. It was great to see you. And number 6. And after this, we'll get scores. Now, as you guys know, and this is part of the question, I've talked about this on several occasions. Originally, the monster was not supposed to be a big sea dragon type dinosaur situation. They envisioned it as being more like a giant mushroom, which they didn't use. However, the mushroom monster trope was used in what Japanese horror flick? A. Mantango, B. Mandingo, C. Body of the Prey, or D. Oh, shiitake and giggles. I shall repeat. The mushroom monster trope was used in what Japanese horror flick? A. Mantango, B. Mandingo, C. The Body of Prey, or D. Oh, shiitakes and giggles. I should actually make that one the the freebie, but let's see how many people get this one here. Uh, a lot of people are picking D. Get oh shiitakes and giggles. Um, Give it another minute, and then we'll get some scores. Let's see. Actually, I think I have all the responses in. Okay, it was A, Matango, known in the States as Attack of the Giant Mushroom People. But when I put Attack of the Giant Mushroom People, it would give the game away. Okay, so let's get some scores, people. Anytime you're ready. Gary Gummer says, it's raining here and buffering again. There's a really, I might cut you this short tonight. There's a really, really, really nasty storm heading towards New England. Zublix is 1 for 4. Dan is 5 of 10. Minus 5 of 10. uh, Keith is 3 out of 5, waiting for Raymond Burr as an answer. Tug is 4 for 5. I consider that a failure. Oh, don't be so hard on yourself. This is my game we're talking about here. Tracy, like my answer is duh. Teb is A. Oh, the answer. Did I not give the answer? Yes, A. Yes, you are right. It looks like you lost me on the question 10, so I'm just lurking. That's just fun. You can lurk as much as you like. Daryl is 1 for 5. Tracy's 0 for 5. Bobby's like, I don't know. I'm not paying attention. That's quite all right. Just being here is something. Tab is 4 for 5. Indy Spouts is 5 for 5 because I know what I am. Oh, because I know what an Kylosaur looks like. I always thought those things were cool. I always thought they were great. So yes, moving forward. Number 5. Which supporting Godzilla franchise character does not have its own standalone film? Is it A. Rodan, B. Mothra, C. King Ghidorah, or D. Anguillus? I shall repeat. Which supporting Godzilla franchise character does not have its own standalone flick? Is it A. Rodan, B. Mothra, C. King Ghidorah, or C. Anguillus? Wow, a lot of people picking C. No, in fact, I actually just saw that one in the theaters. It was the last time I was actually in a theater, a local cinema, a micro cinema, like a privately owned one, was actually showing King Ghidorah. That's the one where oh, aliens possess the body of a princess from another country who it's complicated. But anyway, it's good. Uh yes, Indigo. D. Anguillus is in Godzilla Reigns Again, and things like destroy all monsters attack, that type of thing. But he does not have his own standalone film. Oh, here's a good one. Who was Megalodon paired with? Was it A. Ghidorah, B. Gaijin, C. Dajaman, or D. Veron the Invincible? I shall repeat. Who was Megalon paired with? Was it A. Ghidorah, B. Gaijin, C. Dajaman, or D. Veron the Invincible? Dan says Cher. Ziplik says Britney Spears. Tug says I call a flag on that play. For which question 5 or question 4? Um Oh, and Tug says that's not a standalone movie. You know what, Tug? I will okay. I will yield because Tug, who was like, even though he's actually playing an inadvertent judge, a de facto judge, anybody who says C, give yourself a point because you don't count that as a standalone. Okay, very well. I can understand. I will yield to your flag on field. Gary Gabber says the rain here in NC is messed up. My phone, I'm gonna have to go. I keep buffering again. I'm very, very sorry, man. Take care, but so glad you stopped by. Andy Spout says, was Gaijin in that? Gaijin was in, well, it's gonna give it away. He was in Godzilla versus Megalon. Um, the people of Satopia call upon their allies to send Gaijin. And yes, but I can't tell anymore because I might give another question away. Question 3. In All Monsters Attack, Minya's tormentor is named what? A. Gamera, B. Gabara, C. Kamakuras, or D. Mandra? In All Monsters Attack, Minya's tormentor is named what? A. Gamera, B. Gabara, C. Kamakaras, or D. Manda? I keep putting an R in there. It's Manda. E. Thrash. Love it, Dan. Love it. Heaven Noise says apparently the enemy is English. It is a Japanese film, isn't it? Danny says it's raining so hard here, I can't see the yard. That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, Indy says no idea. B. Well, Indy, fate has smiled upon you. Yes, B. Gabara. That's that big, weird dinosaur looking like thing, which kind of growls like a cat. That yeah, that's Gabara. Gabera? Gabera. It kind of has a face like a cat as well, now I think of it. But anyway, moving forward. Number 2. The pollution themed Godzilla flick was known as what? Godzilla meets Captain Planet, Godzilla versus Gaia, Godzilla versus Hedorah, or Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster. I shall repeat. The pollution themed Godzilla flick was known as A. Godzilla meets Captain Planet, B. Godzilla versus Gaia, C. Godzilla versus Hedorah, or D. Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster? I'd pay to see A. And he's about to, good point. It's also known as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster. But yeah, it's Hedorah. Oh, Emily's asking Danny if he got there was an icy storm this morning as well. Dan says E. Godzilla versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Love it. And apparently the storm started at 3 in the morning and is still here in full force. Indy says, "Fine, Hedorah. I'm an American. Dang it! There are American versions which say Hedorah. In the theaters, it was known as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, but in home theater, there were units which said Godzilla versus King Hedorah. Listen to me, just Hedorah." And Tug says that movie is the weirdest Godzilla movie of them all. It's an acid trip. Save the Earth. Yes, it certainly is. Oh, and Emily says, "Danny, I didn't even check the time. I just waited until the cats calmed down and went back to sleep." Indy says, "It might be my fave." Really? Really? I actually saw it in the theaters when I was like 7. It was my birthday, and it was playing. It just happened to be playing at this like local cinema, and my mom took me there as like a little birthday celebration. Loved it, loved it. Oh, and the number one Godzilla themed question for the evening is Godzilla's ally in Godzilla versus Megalon was whom? A. Ultraman, B. Giant Robo, C. Automan, or D. Jet Jaguar? I shall repeat. Godzilla's ally in Godzilla vs. Megalon was whom? A. Ultraman, B. Giant Robo, C. Automan, or D. Jet Jaguar? And let's just see what we get going here. I think people who haven't even seen the movie will guess right on this one. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. And Doug says, "I'm almost spoiled this one earlier. Punch, punch, punch." Well, yeah, that's when you. That's why I try not to talk about the topic of the trivia game before I implement it, because invariably you accidentally give away answers. Uh, oh, Emily says I can't remember Automan, and Dan says they're issuing flood warnings for the Northeast, 70 mile an hour winds on Cape Cod. Oh yeah, yeah, they're talking 7 mile an hour winds tonight. We've kind of hunkered down, but yeah, we're expecting a little bit of nastiness. Tracy says my scores stink. Podblast says, "Hey Danny Staten, fun fact. Last night with my flock, bro, your collection is boss." I assume you mean the comic book collection. Yeah, he's got some great stuff. And I just gave him another one. And then he says, "Wasn't Megalodon's teammate Gaijin? I was in the can for the first part of that earlier question." Yes, B. Gaijin was the name of Megalon's buddy. The Satopians called to their ally and asked for Gaijin's help. So yes, you are correct. And yes, Jet Jaguar is the answer to this last question here. And Tug says, "I know this quiz wasn't for everybody, but me and Indy had fun with it at least." Excellent. And can we get some scores? Let's see some scores. And Diddy says, "I only showed a few things." I was gonna say you have a huge. It would take you days to do yours. And Tug says that movie was also the first movie to show Godzilla bleed. Yes, yes, very good. It was. It was. And Tug's Pablo says Danny has a great collection of autographs. Yeah, I've seen some of those too. Keithia says 7 minus 1 out of 10. Dan is minus 10 out of 10. Let's see. Tug is 9 for 10. And Tab is 5 for 10. Zublix is 8 of 10. He disqualified, and we didn't receive the answer to 3. I didn't give you the answer to 3? Oh, crap. Uh, Gabara. No, I even said it was Gabara. Um, so that makes you 9 out of 10, I'm guessing. Indy is 10 for 10. Oh, Wajimeen is here. Wajimeen. Hey, Wajimeen, so good to see you. And Daryl Johnson is 2 for 10. Oh, and by the way, if you guys want the Norman Lear trivia to sort of balance the equation for tonight, I understand. If not, I equally understand. But let me know what you think. And Chase says, could someone share my YouTube channel? Thank you. I believe I did. But I will happily share it again. I will happily share. I'll try to share it on different platforms. That sometimes works. And Dan, if you could send a link to Tracy's channel, which I thought I already asked. And I can't believe anybody on this channel hasn't already subscribed to Tracy. That would be baffling. And let's just thank you, Danny. And Emily says that's Thrash's trivia when everything's made up and the points don't matter. We all kind of do it for fun. And Doug says, let's just do it next week. 2 quizzes might be a bit much, and you still have to talk about 2023. We do. Everybody, what 2023 topics do you guys want to talk about? Do you want to talk about fallen celebrities? Do you want to talk about interesting events? You want to talk about the entertainment industry, your favorite movie, your favorite TV shows? Feel free to read into the record. And yes, we'll save Norman Lear for next week. I didn't really want to do another quiz either. But I think not you suggested it actually, but we'll save it for next week. And he says, darn it, Bob, what's the point of torturing Tug with my score if you're not going to read it out loud to react up to rush up the shame? I thought I said that you were 10 for 10. I didn't say Indy was 10 for 10. I could have sworn I said Indy was 10 for 10. Andy, I'm terribly sorry. Indy is 10 for 10. If I missed anyone else's, please forgive. Pod Blast says it was kind of lame how CBS only dedicated 1 hour to the memory of Norman Lear, considering how many years Norman Lear gave that network. I believe you were. I couldn't have said it better myself. Oh, John just subscribed to Tracy. That's very, very nice of you. Also, Superplex says favorite movies. That works. That works. I didn't see any movies in 2023. I never get to the theaters anymore. Pod Bless says Ryan O'Neal. They're dropping like flies. Yes, Ryan O'Neal did pass on. By the way, what's everyone's favorite Ryan O'Neal movie? Mine is a toss-up. I loved him in A Bridge Too Far, but it was an ensemble cast. That wasn't really his film. My favorite film of his actually is probably What's Up, Doc with Barbara Streisand. Love a good screwball comedy. Dan says, Thrash, let's talk about the true meaning of life. Well, get in a good walk every now and then and try to cultivate peace between all peoples, creeds, and nationalities. And that's a horrible butchering of the meaning of life in the film, The Meaning of Life. Emily says Ryan isn't even the same league as Lear. No, he is not. Teb says I subscribe to Podblast and Tug's channel's excellent. Maybe it's a recent bias, but Godzilla -1 is my favorite movie of the year. Granted, I haven't seen that many. Oh, and Tug and Podblast just saying thank you. Zublik says Ryan O'Neal was a big after love story, but that was a long time ago. Love is never having to see that movie. Paper Moon was another one. Yes. A lot of people mentioned Paper Moon. Daryl says, "What's up, Doc?" So we have Love Story, we have Paper Moon, and What's Up, Doc. What's Up, Doc is my favorite. I thought the chemistry between him and Babs was very, very good. Pablo says, "I like the main event with Babs. Don't hit me with a tomato. To be honest, I liked the main event too. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I thought there was there were some great parts. The part where he's trying to get out of going back into boxing and he starts crying and talking about how he killed him into the ring, and then he goes, "Oh, and he was my best friend. I forgot to mention that part." And Babs was like, "You shouldn't have pushed it. You had me right up until that point. You shouldn't have." And it's a really funny scene. So yeah, it's a great movie. Indy says, "Oh, Emily says I've never seen one of his movies. Really?" Hmm. Indy says to Tug, "Thanks, Tug. If it makes you feel any better, that's 2 hours of boring Godzilla immersion I'll never get back." Oh, more for Paper. Dan says Paper Moon. John says 42 is the meaning of life. Ah, yes, from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. 42. We're gonna get Lynch, you know it. Let's just see what else we got going on here. Tracy also liked Paper Moon. Tracy says, love means never saying I'm sorry. Yes. My grandmother used to say that to me all the time, but she never understood it. Her interpretation is like when you love somebody, you never do anything to hurt them, so you never have to say you're sorry. And I'm like, leave it to my grandmother to miss the entire point of that sentiment. Tracy says, wasn't the number 42 the explanation of life on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Funny you mentioned that. Yes, it certainly was. The problem is they could not come up with the question because 42 was the answer, but the question was written on the supercomputer and it would take an eternity to actually read it. And they were trying to pare the question down, but to no avail. Tab says Oliver's Story was a very underrated sequel to Love Story that no one really talks about. I don't recall it at all. Oswald says Streisand and O'Neill were an item at one time. Yes, they certainly were. They certainly were. And Tug says it's the answer, not the meaning, but it's semantics anyway. Yes. Oh, Tom's here. He says, "Hi guys. Tom, so glad you can make it. You working tonight? You must be on break. So glad you could make it." Keith says, "When I was a kid, Love Story played at the movie theater, which only had one screen for 3 months." Oh my god! Oh my god! I went through that with Kramer versus Kramer. We had a three-screen cinema, but one of the screens was Kramer versus Kramer for Are You Sitting Down 4 months. And what happened was because it was being held over so long, there were some movies that actually never actually made it to my hometown because when you only have three screens, you got to rotate them. And when one isn't being rotated, movies kind of come and go. And to this day, I have never seen Kramer versus Kramer, and I won't, because it ruined my childhood. Emily says I tried watching the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, but I just couldn't get into it. The book was so much better. Well, if you didn't like the TV show, let me help you out right here. Do not, do not, under any circumstances, try to watch the theatrical version. It is a very poor adaptation. Some people like it, so I'm not going to bash on it, but it is a very poor adaptation. They get so much stuff wrong. They try to alter it. They try to make it. It's almost like they try to Americanize it, and it worked so well as it was. One thing I will say is, as I'm sure you guys know, I have fallen. Speaking of 2023, I have fallen in love with Fargo. The new Fargo that they just started airing is like my new favorite show. Oh, one thing. Uh, Leave it to my grandmother too, Bonds. Thank you, Bod Bless. Um, I love the new Fargo, and anyway, the guy who played Dent Arthur Dent in the theatrical version is in the first season of Fargo. But if you guys haven't seen Fargo, this new Fargo number 5, season 5, start watching it, please. I beg you. It's great. Uh Zubik says British sci-fi is so underwhelming. Well, Let's just see. It looks like Dan is like having to bow out. Emily's like, "Have a great night, Dan." Yes, please do, please do. Indy Spout says Ryan O'Neal was in my last favorite Kubrick film of all time. Oh, I'm sorry, not my last, my least favorite Kubrick film of all time, Barry Lyndon. Would you believe there's one Kubrick film I have not seen, and it's Barry Lyndon. It's on my movie bucket list. A lot of people don't like it, but I feel compelled. I feel like I have to watch it just because it's the only one I haven't seen. Pablo says eating Pizza Hut right now for the first time in ages, having a nostalgic flashback to sit down at Pizza Hut. Um, wow. When Pizza Hut becomes nostalgia, that's 2023. Wow. Uh oh. Bless me, bless me. Ooh. I think I'm still fighting something. I'm still fighting something, so please bear with me. Anyway, did you guys hear that? Wind at the door. And I don't mean the sci-fi high fantasy novel either. I mean there's actually wind at the door. Tim says, which version of Santa Baby do you prefer better, Eartha Kitt or Madonna? Oh, I gotta go with Eartha Kitt. I love Eartha Kitt. I love Madonna too, but Eartha Kitt was amazing. Pablo says Tatum O'Neal was great too in the Bad News Bears. Yes, she certainly was. She certainly was. And Pablo says thanks for the link to Danny. Uh, Tug says I actually like the Hollywood version, but you were right. It makes too many changes. You looked up the Hollywood version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Again, free country, but they even got Zaphod's second head wrong. The whole point of Zaphod Beetlebrox is he's so vain, he had a second head, boop, put it right out there on his shoulder so all could see. It didn't pop out of his neck at inconvenient times. It was a second head on the shoulder. Um, Little things like that just got to me. But I'm a purist, I guess. Zuplik says I worked with a guy who sung the praises of the new Doctor Who, but since I recall the '70s version, I was not interested. I tried so hard to like the new Doctor Who. I really, really did. And I just can't do it. It simply doesn't have the charm the old one did. Some of the actors who played Doctor Who are pretty solid. Um, but again, the show just there was something missing. It's almost like when they made it less hokey, it took all the fun out of it. I don't know. I don't know. Tug says, because everyone's good, thank you. Pablo says, sit down restaurant Pizza Hut was fun after soccer game, uh, first dates, etc. Yeah, I took a girl to a Pizza Hut uh, when I was in high school too. Yeah, because it didn't look like a fast food restaurant. It had brick walls and really cool tables, and it was still cheap. All you're doing is getting pizza. But yeah. Pablo says a remake seldom even match the original. Case in point, Clash of the Titans. Ooh, I know, I know. Emily says I never watched a Doctor Who until the other night. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I loved the Harryhausen Clash of the Titans. I don't think I could even get through the remake. I think I actually, if I did watch it, I wasn't paying attention at the end. Tug says, I still have never seen a single episode, lol. And Denise Belt says, my high school in the 80s put on plays with a higher production cost than Doctor Who. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. Ziblik says, British sci fi works only when it looks, uh, uh, when it is hemmed in by American directors such as 2001 and Star Wars. The British are so depressing. Oh, Danny says, watch me close when I twist my ring like magic at Burger King. Burger King. Watch me close when I hold my eyes where at Pizza Hut. Okay. Keithy says, Emily, I always love your comments, but seldom comment on them. Keep up the good work. Oh, and Bob was right. Video games and jukeboxes. One I went to actually had one of those. They had those little jukeboxes on the tables. Those were really cool. And Teb says, to be honest, throughout her life, Liz Taylor's scandalous personal life overshadowed her accomplishments, acting performances, most notably her multiple marriages. Definitely. Was it 9? Didn't she end up with 9 marriages? And Emily says, don't worry, Keith. I'm very chatty most of the time. And Tracy says, me too, Robert, on the Doctor Who. I agree. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. And Tug says, the best remakes uh, don't try to be the same. The Fly, The Thing, for example, are very different interpretations from the original. Yes, The Thing is one of the few cases where I actually like the re-envisioning better than the original. There are a few others. There are a few others. The Fly's a toughie. I like both of them. So I won't say which one is better, but definitely Thing and Thing for Another World. I definitely go with the 1982 version. Another one, personal favorite, 1 million BC. Nothing wrong with the 1945 version, but the 1960 something ish version with Raquel Welch, that's my favorite. And Kitty says, "Help me, help me." Pablo says, "I love Me TV, but it was lame that they were skipping airing season 8 of Beverly Hillbillies episode for offensive content. Just put a disclaimer up like they do with All in the Family, a censorship." Thank you, Pod Blast. I was meaning to ask you, what was the specific offensive thing about that episode that they weren't airing it for? So Blake says, message retracted, and a message retracted to you too. Emily says, I believe it was 7 marriages. Oh, that's right. Yes, yes. She married Burton twice, and I think one of the other ones she actually got back with Will. So yes. So 9 weddings, 7 marriages. Or 7 husbands, I should say. Alan Tug says, yep, nostalgic. That's why physical media should never die. I know. Because the stuff that they can post, not only can they remove, but they can also redact. And Tim says 8 marriages and yes, twice to Richard Burton. Excellent. So we were all on the right track. Zublik says Liz Taylor really shined in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. My parents went to see that. It was a particularly hot summer. My mother was out to here pregnant. I was born in August. One night, my father took her to see a movie because it was air conditioned, and they just wanted to get out of the heat for a little while. And Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was playing, and this was before I was born. But apparently, my father used to refer to me as the little bugger for months after I was born. My father is a very, very bizarre individual. And let's see. Indy says the Fly remake is better, but I love the original more. Again, I think I gotta go with you there. I think I agree. I like the Vincent Price, which is funny because do you know why they said it in Canada? Because the original short story was based on all the names were in French because it was a French short story. They decided when they were doing the American version, they wanted to keep all the French names, but had to explain why everybody had French names. So they go, we'll set it in Quebec, and everyone will have French names. So little fun fact there. Pablo says, yes, sir, probably is in this case only seasons 1 through 5 of the 9 are on DVD, Billy Hillbillies, but they are on Pluto and on demand. Keithy says Mickey Rooney married enough, he said, to have all the way basketball team. As the book says, so you was a pretend baby. Well, no, I was real, but my father loved. I'm real. I'm here, but my father loved the dynamic between um, George and Martha. So then he decided to um, bring me into this sort of really unhealthy dynamic by referring to me as a little bugger. So he pretended I wasn't real. Something I'm sure he did later on in life. I was always a problem child. You might find that hard to believe. Tug says also Cronenberg is Canadian. Oh, yes, you're right. I had forgotten that. Some of his best films have come out of Canada. Emily Miller says just Googled Zaza Gabor beats Liz. She was married 9 times. Excellent. Pabla says to me, one of the issues was a bachelor party scene at the bank with secretaries dressed up as harem girls in a mock slave auction. The dialogue was funnier, even if the scenario was not great. That's one of the sadder things about the whole Mad Men period. That sort of early '60s. Um, the comedy just hasn't aged well. I warn people now. If those of you, and I'm sure you've all seen my content channel post Greybeard, my favorite post-apocalyptic novel of all time, was written in 1964. One problem with it, it is really, really not politically correct, particularly with its depiction of women and what women agree to put up with. Um, and I can certainly see how in these days it would be cringy. Do you remember? And it wasn't that long ago. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Krusty goes back into stand-up comedy, and he does all this stuff that would have been considered edgy but funny in like the '70s, but now is just outright offensive. Mr. Wilkins says, I like the older versions of Doctor Who. They are self-explanatory. With the newer versions, you have to think about what you're watching. Daryl says, "How here are some of the shortest marriages in Hollywood history: Rudolph Valentino and Jean Archer, 2 hours. Wow." Tug says, "I got to go soon. Good night, all, and good night, Thrash. It was great hanging with you guys today. See you soon. Definitely." Um, Actually, you know what? My throat's starting to go. I think it might be the sinus thing. I'm starting a little scratchy, so I think I actually might wrap it up right around here tonight as well, guys. So any last minute points people want to like add in while we can, um, and but anyway, I want to thank you guys a lot. As you guys know, I love doing these. Um, I love doing the trivia, even though a lot of you guys don't love the trivia. I love doing the trivia. Um, I love your comments. I love your support. I love the fellowship we have here. It's so much fun. And next week we will be doing part three rather, part three. But I will also be doing the Norman Lear trivia in the spirit of Mr. Norman Lear, who um, died this week at 101. Oh, Daryl Jones says Britney Spears and Jason Alexander, 55 hours. You know what the really terrifying thing about that was? Um, she didn't tell him that whole thing was going to be a publicity stunt. I guess he had been in love with her. It's one of those things where he had gotten friend zoned, but had always loved her. She decides she's going to get married as a publicity stunt. Calls him up, asks him if he wants to marry her, flies him down so they can be married. And after this weekend, says, "Okay, that was funny, huh? Everyone's talking about me now. Yada yada, blah blah blah. Anyway, thanks for your help, and I'll get you the annulment papers." He's kind of like, "Hawa, hawa, hawa, hawa." So yeah, he was such a pawn in that. It was very very sad. A pawn. He was one of Pawns' pawns. In any event, a lot of people said good night to one another, and again, good night to all of you. Anyway, like I say, as the voices started to give out, I want to say, everybody, thanks for joining me tonight. Be good, be safe, be careful, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. and start watching Fargo. Peace.